Well, we have had a bit of a circus here. Good morning. We are live with our Speed to Profit marketing. Excuse me for just a minute. I have had one circus. We have plumbing, an interesting situation in our plumbing here. So I apologize for that. Just 1 minute. And we'll get going. I realize we're a minute late, and I apologize for that. The story will be funny, and I'll let you know what it is in just a second. As soon as I get this up and running, let me get my headphones in so that I can participate, and we'll be on the way. So I've started the broadcast. Today, welcome to Speed to Profit Marketing. We're going to talk today about avatars and why narrowing your avatar niche means actually more money. A lot of times people feel like if you narrow your avatar too much, you lose money, and that is a problem. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. But first I'm going to tell you the story of why we're late. We had a plumbing problem here in the house like for a couple of weeks, and we've had several plumbers come and declare defeat and actually leave, being unable to repair the problem. And that sounds pretty funny, since plumbers are notorious for inventing things that are wrong and making money, like car repair salesmen. But these guys worked, and first guy was left completely defeated and didn't even charge us anything. So that was a complete bust on their part. And the second guys almost did the same. Finally, we had to cut holes in the wall, cut into the pipe, and out of our pipe coming down from upstairs, the guy who's done this for 17 years tells me we take the prize. There is a 4-foot, and I just saw it, 2x4, a 4-foot 2x4 inside of the pipe coming down the wall from upstairs. So of course that's the reason we've had a blocked plumbing. I'm surprised that it's taken 6 years, the time we've lived here, to manifest itself in terms of a complete blockage. But anyway, so that's what's been going on. They just arrived. They were just displaying the trophy 15 minutes ago, and I ended up being a couple minutes late getting on. So that's kind of hysterical, but that's actually what happened. So here we go. Speed to Profit Marketing, why a narrower niche means more gold in your vault. I invited a couple people on that I'm not sure are going to make it, to talk about what niches are. Niches or niches, depending on whether you're from which side of Canada you're from, or whether you're from the U.S. or France. In the U.S. we say niche. Of course, French is niche, but it means that sliver of the market that you serve. Now, in all of my coaching, one of the things that happens all the time is this: I serve a market. Everybody needs my product. My stuff is so good, everybody could be helped. And something that actually might be true. There might be every single person or an enormous group of people that could benefit from your product if they use it. Some a lot, and some perhaps a little. The problem is we live right now in a society and in a time where you and I are completely buried in messages. I mean, if you look at an average hour of television, I timed it the other day just to see, I think it's about 41 minutes is program, and 19 minutes is commercial, and one I was 39 and 21. So about a third of the time is commercial. Some of them are 30-second spots, some are 60. So you figure in an hour's time you've seen 19 advertisements, perhaps more, 20, 21 advertisements. And so what we do is we develop online what's called banner blindness, or we develop the ability to completely ignore them. If we've recorded shows, we fast forward through commercials. If we haven't recorded them, we ignore them. We have conversations during that time, and we do anything and everything to ignore them. Online, for example, on Facebook, that whole right-hand column for a long time was such lucrative advertising, I don't even see it anymore, and I'm sure that you're the same. So we develop banner blindness. We don't look at ads. They become intrusive. They become annoying. Pop-ups on websites, all of those things are annoying. They've just passed another set of laws with respect to email, spam laws, making it even more difficult. Because, why? Because we're getting more and more and more annoyed with the intrusions in our life. Text messaging, text this to that number, text messaging advertising is now popular. They're now trying to include laws about text messaging and spam laws and so forth. So we have this dilemma. The dilemma as a business is this. You have a product or service that actually matters and will solve some real problems for real people that really need that problem solved. On the other hand, marketing, the old way, which is making a lot, like billboard marketing, making a lot of noise and hoping people notice you, is becoming less and less and less effective. And in fact, it's becoming more and more and more annoying to the very targets, the very people who are the subject of the advertising or marketing. I don't look at banners going down the street. You may or you may not. And now they have banners, that change, have louvers on them, or have their electronic, and they switch every so often. So they can fit more advertising in the same real estate on the sign. So we end up with this problem, and it is a real difficulty for businesses. And if you have a business like I do, then you have to think about, all right, so how are we going to market? So let's go to what we're talking about here. Today I said we talk about three things. Why a narrower niche means more gold in your vault or more gold in your wallet. And we're going to talk about why a narrower niche is better. And so let's just get to that problem, the answer immediately. A narrower niche is better because you can write better marketing copy or make better marketing videos. Think about it this way. Each of us claims the space of being unique, right? We're unique, we're special, nobody knows exactly who, how we are. We have our special set of circumstances. That's a great thing, and in fact, it's part of what I teach about tool that you have as a marketer is your unique and personal story. Because you're unique, the idea of one size fits all isn't very appropriate. So let's just use a real quick example. When was the last time you bought a one size fits all pair of pants? When was the last time you bought a one size fits all pair of shoes? When was the last time you bought a one size fits all anything of clothes, except maybe those great big robes have one size fits all, and sometimes they have hats that have elastic bands on them that are one size fits all that they sell in amusement parks, right? So one size fits all is not effective in clothing. One flavor fits all is not effective in steak or fish dishes or salad dressing or anything that we like to eat. So nothing that we eat, nothing that we wear, experiences that we participate in, one size fits all, aren't right. If you go to a class, the teacher will teach up there and do some lecturing, but individual questions are different. Our learning styles are different. Our ability to comprehend are different. The amount of time we need for soak time is different. Our ability to aha and synthesize principles and ideas into correct application in a class is different. So the notion of one-size-fits-all advertising is ridiculous on its face. Yet when we advertise to everybody, that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing one-size-fits-all advertising. So let's do this. Think about a high-end retail experience that you've had. When you've gone into a high-end in Neiman Marcus or in Canada, Holt Renfrew, or one of the stores that is very high-end and they have little boutique areas. If you shop there very much, the salesperson knows you, they know your name, and they remember probably the last 2 or 3 things that you bought. If you bought a custom suit, I have had this experience at a Holt Renfrew in Canada. I bought a custom made-to-measure Armani. Now, that's expensive, and so it took a lot of time and all that jazz. But the guy remembered me days, weeks, months later. I'd go in there, he remembered my name, he remembered what I bought, he remembered my preference in colors and fabric and everything else. So that's a custom shopping experience. So think about the kinds of things that impress you the most. The more custom or tailored an experience is for you, the more powerful it is. The more the custom clothes fit, the better it feels, the more the shoes mold exactly to your feet, the better it feels, and so forth. So that whole idea of one size fits all is nonsense. Now, add to that the overwhelming amount of advertising garbage that goes on around us incessantly with email and texts and all of the Facebook ads and Google ads and AdWords and on and on and on. Custom advertising, custom marketing becomes more and more critical. So that's why, let's just get back to the fundamental premise. Why a narrower niche is better is because it allows you to customize your advertising. So I work with a lot of clients who have products and services. Some of them do specialty products and services around coaching. I have some coaches for clients. Some do specialty products and services around creating energy management. So this is a technical product for building managers. I won't list all of them because we're only on 30 minutes today. But the point is they create these custom products and services, and the more custom designed it is for my building, for my need, the more effective it is. So that's the very same principle that applies for customizing your marketing. Now, those clients that I have, I always ask my clients one really important question, and that's this. How many clients does it take to completely fill your practice? What is the maximum number of clients you could handle and be, making all the money you wanted? Sometimes it's 100, depending on how specialized the service is. Sometimes it's 1,000 or 2,000. One client I have, the answer would be maybe 10,000. Okay, so even the top number, 10,000 clients. Well, that particular client lives in a city of about 2 million, so there isn't any question there's way more than 10,000 potential clients in that very city. And that particular service can be provided online, so the market is much bigger. In fact, there are 3.5 million people within physical distance of that person that they could actually service, right? So, and that they wouldn't all be clients, but there would be at least 500,000 clients, potential clients, within driving distance of the client that I have. So my point is simply this: you can't possibly serve all of the clients that are potentially your clients. There is an abundance. There is no need to think about, oh, all those people I left unserved. So let me just put an end to part one by simply saying this. If you craft your marketing to talk to one person like a custom suit, like a custom cooked-to-order steak, like a prepared-to-order experience of some kind, you will be more powerful, connect more deeply, command higher prices, and be more persuasive and powerful in your marketing. Study after study shows it, and it is particularly true now with the bombardment of advertising we have, and becoming more true as it gets more difficult to reach through the clutter and become heard. So that's the reason. Your marketing is better, you attract the right kind of customer, and you make more money. So that's the first thing. So the next piece we said we talk about is how to pinpoint your ideal customer. So let's just do some examples, and that'll be the easiest way to think about that. And again, I'm thinking of narrower, narrower, narrower. Reject customers, reject them, get to the ideal customer. Who would be the perfect client? So I'll use myself as an example. And I have a couple of different business lines, but in Speed to Profit Marketing, which is today's Hangout, my ideal customer comes from 3 places. The first one is the business who is aching to grow and can't seem to get found online. They're not attracting the right number or the right type of clients. They don't know how to get found online. They don't know how to use the free tools that are online to get found, the replacement for the old yellow pages, that kind of thing. The Facebooks and the online directories and LinkedIn and the kinds of associations and opportunities that exist online. They either don't know how to use them, or they're overwhelmed or confused. Some of them are afraid to dive in. Some of them have been, ripped off before by people promising different results and so forth. So they don't know how to use them. And the bottom line is they don't know how to get found. So my ideal client is a business that wants to grow badly. They're not attracting the right number of clients or the right kind, and they don't know how to use the online tools that are available, many of them free. A second type of client that I have is a messenger, a person that has a message or a movement that's trying to gather a tribe and has the same problem. They can't get their voice heard, can't gather the tribe, can't get the attention online they deserve. So that that complete specificity, so I can say exactly who I'm looking for, and I can talk about exactly how they're feeling. Again, what that lets me do is craft marketing powerfully and specifically for that client. So what I said is you learn how to pinpoint your ideal customer. So the useful exercise to go through is this. Can you describe in great detail your ideal, I mean perfect customer, the one that absolutely needs everything that you offer? How old are they? How much money do they make or not make? Where do they live? Are they male or female, or does that matter? Do they own a business? Are they an employee? Are they blue collar or white collar, or are they high school educated? Do they have an advanced degree? What are their interests? What are their hobbies? What are the things that they like to do for community service? Can you get that specific? And the more you can get that, and all of those answers, and there are a whole bunch more, we're not going to take time to do them all, but the more of those answers you can put together in a list and paint the ideal picture, the easier it is to talk to someone. So let me give you let me explain why that's true. Think about a friend that you have that you meet maybe for coffee or that you have over for dinner, right? You don't have any problem talking to that friend. You know them, they know you, and you talk comfortably with each other. You can just pick up a conversation where you left off. Well, if you know as much as you could know about your ideal client, you can write marketing copy and create video that's like that, that can enter the conversation that's going on in their mind. You can be using the language they use, the lexicon. Talk about the fears, the concerns, and worries. So I'll give you an example for myself again. So when I create marketing, I say, do you have a message? Are you trying to start a movement or get something to change? And you're just frustrated because you can't gather the voice or gather the tribe or get the clout you really deserve or you need to get your movement started. Have you tried different things and you're just really frustrated with how it works? And maybe you don't know how, or you're confused or overwhelmed about trying to get that message to the right people. Now, someone that doesn't have a message is going to find that not interesting. I don't care. They're not my client. Someone that has a message and already has great success is going to answer no to all those questions, and so they're not my client either. And someone that has a message and answers yes to all those questions is immediately going to say, yeah, I need some of that. And so the more specific I can be and the better picture I have of that avatar, we call it an avatar after that movie kind of, but that avatar, the better I can talk to them, and the easier it is for me to enter the conversation that's going on in their mind. All right, the third thing we said we'd talk about is to find the magic to speak to close deals. Now, ultimately, business is about making money and serving clients. It's about making money and serving clients. And there's nothing wrong with making money. In fact, you should make a lot if you're serving a lot. I'm not advocating making money without giving appropriate, in fact, extraordinary service. I built my whole business around serving above that which is expected. So what is the language? Now that you've identified your ideal client and you know exactly who they are, what they look like, and you've got a super narrow niche that you're speaking to. My Canadian is showing, right? Niche. I'm in dual national, by the way. So anyway, you've got a really narrow niche and you've got the language all tuned up. How do you close deals? So here is two keys to closing deals. First of all, spend most of your time speaking in the language of the fears, frustrations, needs, desires, and fantasies of the prospect. So, for example, when I do this, I say to a potential client, imagine having an online presence so compelling that anyone that's looking for your service finds you first. And imagine that what they find is so powerful and explains so well the elegance of the solution and the benefit map that you provide to solve their most serious problem that they can't imagine doing any business with anybody except you. What would that do to your business? So I ask questions like that because immediately it puts them in a state of, wow, if I could do that. Or I'll ask a question like this. Imagine having a room full of your ideal client. Somehow you just ended up on stage in front of 150 people that need your product or service. Imagine further that they had no cell phones and no distractions, and that you had an hour and a half to talk to them and explain how you could solve their most serious problem. What would that do for your business? And people always, they get excited. It puts them in a state of emotion, in a state of, just, if I could do that. And then I ask a question, well, what would you be willing to do to position yourself online so you would be right in front of those clients right when they're looking for solutions? Not billboards slapping them around when they're not interested, but when they're looking. Well, that's really powerful. It's a powerful line of questioning. So using those kinds of questions are the tools to evoke the emotional engagement, the excitement, and the interest of your specific client, but you can only do it when you know who they are, exactly what they think and feel, and in great detail a problem that they need to solve, and you've become very familiar with that languaging. So that is find the magic to speak to close deals. So what I want you to do right now is an exercise. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to look for questions and see if there's other people that want to jump on and comment. So you've got a bunch of people in the film strip, and thank you all very, very much for attending today, and your comments and suggestions we'll have in just a minute. But I want you to do an exercise for me. You won't be able to get it all done in the 7 or 8 or 10 minutes we have left, but think about this. Would you write down a detailed description of your ideal client, the most absolutely perfect person that you could serve, that you would be able to serve absolutely the best with the products or services that you offer? Okay, make it as specific and detailed as you can. Even if there's just one in the world, write it like there is one in the world, right? And then I want you to think about that'd be part one. Part two is write everything about that person that you can imagine. And I realize you're making it up. Where do they go to buy groceries? What are their views on environmental issues? How much money do they make? How much money would they like to make? Are they men or women, or does it matter? What's their likely age? What kind of experiences have they had in their life that have made them your ideal client? So I have a client who has he does a lot of very, very specialized dental work. And so when I ask him that question, well, he could list a set of 4 or 5 things that probably had to happen to them in order for them to, be in his office. So what are the kinds of things that your experiences that those people needed to have to be your ideal client? And the more you go through that and actually spend the mental energy to think through that, it does 2 things. One, it gives you a great list for marketing copy. Two, it changes your feeling. Okay, and I'm slowing down here because I want you to think about this. It changes the way you feel because, at least for me, it started to get me to think about these clients in the sense of being real people. And when I talk to them, as I make marketing videos, I can talk to them in a way that feels connected. I can talk to them in a way that feels like I know them because I've taken the time to think about their dilemmas and their needs and the frustrations that they must be having because they can't X. So I'll give you one final example, and then we'll open up to questions. One of the things I teach is how to create video presence, how to create a powerful video presence online. One of the things I know that people suffer with or are frustrated about is they hate the way they look on camera. Many of them hate the way they sound on tape. I've owned a recording studio for 35 years and worked with beginners and Grammy winners. So acting coaching, performance coaching is as natural to me as breathing. But I've worked with hundreds and thousands. And so I know what they're feeling, and I know the language that's going on in their head about what they sound like or look like. And so I can talk to them and encourage them in the way that is powerful because I'm thinking about how they must be feeling X. I know that they're worried. I can tell by the way they're standing, they don't like the way it looks, or the way it feels, or it sounds, that kind of thing. And by thinking about it that way, instead of being in a hurry to tell them what I want to say, think about what they're thinking or feeling, it makes it far more powerful. So those are the examples. That's the principle I wanted to teach today about why a narrower niche means more gold in your vault. I'll be quiet now and ask Joy. Joy, have you been keeping track of comments and questions? Or Kristen, I see is on here also, Manny and many others. I see Craig's on here. I see Colin and Christopher. Great. Joy, what have we got?
Well, one thing, there was somebody was asking about list building. So we always hear about how important it is to build a list, and do people? I guess it's sort of a roundabout. So when you work on ads and build a list, where in the building process, where do you start narrowing your niche? Like what process or whereabouts in that process do you start to, do you want to cast a wide net first when you're list building, or do you want to narrow it to begin with?
Fabulous question. So let me just riff on it a little bit. So think about this. It used to be like we had to do billboard advertising. We did stuff in the newspaper or on TV, right? That's casting a really wide net. Everybody that's watching a program is going to see it or not see it, right? And we hope that the right ones take some action. One of the tools that we have now online, fabulous tools, is you have targeting tools. So, for example, let's talk about Facebook. Facebook Graph Search lets you target your ads to people. You can target age, demographic, geography. If you're doing a local business, you can target interests, people that they've expressed an interest in. You can target all kinds of narrowing things. And so to answer your question, I'm going to do another question. Do you want to advertise to people? Do you want to pay per click advertising to a group of people that are not interested in your service? And the answer is, well, I don't, because that's a higher advertising budget for people that I know have probably no chance or very little interest in my product or service, particularly if I'm doing high-end or competing in a heavy niche where there's high cost per click. So I want to narrow my niche before I start advertising. Now, I don't want to narrow it down to one person. Facebook won't let you run ads like that anyway. I think 1,500 or 2,000 is probably as narrow as you get. But you certainly want to do it when you start, because you're paying for advertising. So let's just think about it this way. Let's say I could take out a newspaper ad and only have it show up in the newspapers that were delivered to the doors of people that needed my service. And it costs less to put that ad in. I'll sign up for that every day, right? Rather than spend more, put it in all the newspapers on the off chance that one or two people that I forgot about might see it and might whatever. So I would narrow to start with, particularly when you're paying for advertising. Now, there's one exception to that, and that is Facebook and Twitter and other social media provide you the opportunity to gather a tribe, and YouTube especially, to gather a tribe through list building that's free. Now, in that case, you don't have to narrow anything. Your Facebook posts, your tweets, your YouTube vids, and so forth can be broad, and the self-selection goes on when people opt in to the freemium that you're offering, the free gift or whatever it is you're offering. So in that case, I would not narrow it, and I would do the three things, but then the answer is because it's free and people are self-selecting to come in. So that's what I would say about that. As soon as I start paying, I'm narrowing.
One other thing, Colin Kilburn said, one of the hardest questions he faced is, so he's built software, systems for other companies, and now he's starting a global consultancy and has a difficult time narrowing down me as a product or him as a product.
Well, Colin, that's a fair question, and I guess I'm going to have to give you a generic answer, which is exactly the opposite of everything I've been teaching, because I don't know you and I don't know your business. But if you were my client, what I would do is get your story, understand what you do best, and if you're building software, if that's what you said, and you're building software, I wasn't sure, but if that's what you do, I would find out exactly who you serve, what you serve them with, and then figure out how to target that group of people. Because if you build a software that does certain things and target, this group of people need it, you don't want to be spending money on advertising for other people. So again, it's an exercise in practice. Who exactly do I serve best? And how I know that for me by thinking, who have I been serving, who would I like to serve, who would be the most fun. I do that both as a visioning exercise and as a factual exercise. If I were working with you as a client in my mastermind, then I would get you narrow. I would say, who do you serve? Who do you serve best? How do you know? Who have you served in the past, whether it's been free or paid? And get it right down to who your best group of clients are. It's really easy to broaden the niche. It's really hard to narrow it. So I would start first, narrow, 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 narrow. And if you get it down to 100 people and you say, I really need 10,000 clients because of the kind of product I have, great. Then who can you add to make that 100 go to 1,000? And to 5,000, and to 10,000, and to 50, maybe 100,000. Who are the 100,000 most ripe, likely people, and then how do I target them? So that's what I would do. I would narrow it too narrow by answering those questions about who I do very best and who needs it very most, and if it's too narrow, then broaden it out a little bit, as opposed to just throwing out the net because you'll end up spending a lot of money and wasting and being really frustrated. What else, Joy?
Well, Colin left for a moment, and now he's back. I don't know if he wants to unmute himself and ask. He also said, I'm speaking for him now, but he can speak for himself, but living in a rural area is a big deficit. Now, we can specifically talk to that, and he missed it because he was out for a moment. So, Colin, did you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, am I unmuted now?
Yeah,
you are.
Oh, I've been unmuted the whole time. You'd think I'd know how to use a tool strip being a software developer, but somehow I keep hitting that big red phone. So I don't want to take any more of your time, but yeah, it's very interesting what you said. And I think my biggest problem is I've been technically minded, and I have been trying to learn some better skills of communicating with people and finding out story. And last thing I heard was to build my story, what I have to offer, but I guess it's just so wide what I can offer. It's really hard to narrow down. So I'm thinking I almost have to go sell myself through some kind of an agency or something who has a strong network, because it's almost like I need somebody to tell me what the problem is before I can start to build or craft a solution. And I don't have enough of a niche software development environment to offer sort of a niche service. I can build towards one, but
Okay, so I have a couple of ideas for you. If you're a software developer, so two completely separate things. Number one, if you have trouble getting a story and crafting a compelling story that way, I'd hire somebody to get that help, because that's a skill that it's something you can do in a short period of time, and it's something you do best with some help. So let's go to the key piece that you talked about. If you develop custom software for people and you need to hear about what they need before you develop it, then first thing I'd say is, okay, what kinds of people do you serve? What kinds of things? Who are the people that are likely to need custom software solution? Because there's a ton of people that don't need that. So we can discard my neighbor. He doesn't need custom software or anything. He's not in that kind of business. And so you start thinking, making a list. Who are the people that need custom software? And if I build 10 kinds of custom software, or 20, or whatever it is, or this one with 50 variations, you start listing who are the kinds of people that need my solutions, and where would I be able to talk to them. Again, narrowing is a practice that actually is easier than you think when you get started with it. And again, quite often, having somebody guide you through that is helpful, because if you've been stuck, not being able to do it, it's hard to get unstuck, and it's hard to think outside of a box that you've sort of been in for a while. I find that for myself anyway. So yeah, thank you for the question.
I've worked in many. I worked in some high-risk places and done some stuff, but it seems like it's usually you get into some software engineering type position. I've worked for the hospital and various other niche markets, and have reached out to many different language, web development, system development. So the thing is that for the last year I've been going online and trying to meet up and find a team or be part of a team, and I think I probably haven't been most effective in trying to sell myself that way through networking to direct companies that might have a team I'd want to work on, because it always seems that the end result for me is to be shipped off to a large company into a cubicle. So I do have 3 or 4 software projects on the go, but what you find out is all those people need funding, so I'm doing a lot of volunteer work, and I don't think that's the way to go either.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build up a profile, bring it on home to a town of 10,000, 15, 20,000 people. I'm in rural New Brunswick, which is the most socially conservative place in Canada, if you know where I live.
I do.
You're Canadian. Yes, and I'm really crushed in between the triangle. I worked in Fredericton for like 6 years and traveled 60 miles
Yeah.
away, so it's a really hard go. I got to get on a mindset and find a world team somehow. I'm probably one of those really difficult people to help.
Well, there's no doubt that some situations are harder than others, but I never despair, and I have yet to find someone to work with that I can't help them figure out how to create both that story and that niche. All right, thank you very much. We've got to move on and see if there's others. We're a bit over our half-hour time, and I know I started late because of my plumbing story and problems, which, if you didn't hear, you need to go back and listen to the beginning. It was kind of funny. A 4-foot 2x4 in my plumbing, so, you know, go figure, right? Joy, what other questions have we got? Anything else?
I think that's it. That was a great question. Did you address the rural part too, though? Because
you know, the rural part, yeah, let me just do that. Thank you for reminding me. Here's what I think. I mean, Joy and I moved way out in the sticks. We're way outside of Phoenix, and we did that on purpose. And I find, at least, and it's not going to be true for every niche. It's not going to be true for some bricks and mortar because you have shipping that adds cost, and so there's going to be cost issues and so forth. But I find that the more clients that I work with, and I have clients that are Canadian, I have clients that are in Mexico, I have clients that are in Europe, I have clients that are all over the world, the internet has a way of leveling that out. You know, you have the opportunities are really, really explosive. And so I'm finding more and more that there's always, and I'm sticking my neck out, but I'm going to say it, always a way to leverage the net so that the isolation that you used to have, or that we used to have living in rural areas, is far less of a problem. I won't say no problem, but I'll say far, far less of a problem than it ever might have been in the past. Anything else? Anything else? All right. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for attending Speed to Profit Marketing. The way to get a hold of me is down at the bottom. And here's the last thing I'll say. SpeedToProfitMarketing.com or Speed to Profit Marketing is the absolute best system for getting your #1 positioning online. If you're interested in Speed to Profit Marketing principles, I've been doing these hangouts online for months, but there's also my event. I'm holding an event in September 15, 16, and 17 at the Desert Retreat in Phoenix. Please get a hold of me, speedtoprofitmarketing.com/event. That URL is not on the screen. Sorry about that. But speedtoprofitmarketing.com/event. Joy?
We're going to go.
Yeah, we're just cleaning up here, and I think that's good. I don't have anything else.
Okay, cool. Kristen, anything?
Oh, I am unmuted, aren't I? Well, I have a bunch of questions, but I think we're going to have to save it for another time because we're trying to wrap up. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good, you guys. Thanks for coming, and we will see you next Wednesday on our next Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout.
She could put them in the event area though too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, put them in the chat box, and I'll address them there. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.